It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports,
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Thibs is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Thibs tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Thibs. Visit thibs.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The U-Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at U-Like, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. U-Like. With Ease US, make studio-quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high-quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional-grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
Welcome. It is the Pete Sousa Show here on the Rogue Sports Network, live from the Alico building in Waco, Texas. 21st floor, just about the highest vantage point you can have in Central Texas. Great to be here with you. Pete is on vacation, but the show rolls on. My name's Scotty Swingler. We got a full new show for you. We're going to talk a little NFL quarterbacks here in segment 2. We will have Kevin and Liam from All Indiana Sports in to help us preview the NBA Finals. It's going to be a great show. Zach Burke in the producer's chair today, helping me make sure we look good, sound good, and feel good. I want to start today with the topic of the hour. I watched plenty of ESPN this morning. This is outside of some NFL offseason stuff. This is all they know to talk about today. Tom Thibodeau fired as the head coach of the New York Knicks. And as someone who I think is pretty objective about this, an outsider to the New York sports kind of sphere, never really rooted for any New York teams. I don't have any strong emotions attached to this. And as an outsider, this just makes no sense to me whatsoever. So let me give you a few facts about Tom Thibodeau's time with the New York Knicks. He is 4th all time in franchise wins. 4th all time. He accomplished that in 5 years. in one of the oldest, most legacied franchises in the NBA. He's number 4 all time in franchise wins, and he did it in 5 seasons. He did lead them just now to their first conference finals in 25 years. They haven't made a conference finals in a quarter of a century. Tom Thibodeau took them there. Don't forget, they defeated the Boston Celtics to get there. The Boston Celtics, perhaps the favorite to win the NBA Finals coming into the playoffs. The Boston Celtics who, yes, that series was marred by a Jason Tatum injury, but that game was over more than likely when Tatum got hurt. The Knicks had that series in hand before that injury. And they did all of that with a roster whose best player is a 6'1" point guard. Jalen Brunson's amazing, right? But it's not Giannis. It's not Kawhi Leonard in his prime. It's not Steph Curry, right? They did this with Jalen Brunson and a consistently disappointing playoff performer, Karl Anthony Towns, as their cornerstone pieces. And this is what Tom Thibodeau accomplished. Back-to-back 50-win seasons, playoffs 4 out of the last 5 years. I don't know what the New York Knicks expect. And it is baffling to me that you could be on a trajectory of forward progress, a trajectory of a momentum leading you upwards. Like the next logical step for this team is the NBA Finals. That doesn't mean they make it next season, but the way Tom Thibodeau has elevated this team season over season, you could expect that next season if you just bring him back. So this makes no sense to me for a few reasons. Number one, how has Chicago been since Tom Thibodeau left? Like, that's a historically relevant NBA franchise. You would think you could bring in a good coach to Chicago. You would think you could attract free agents, build a good team. What have they done this century outside of some good years with Tom Thibodeau? I want to call up a tweet from my buddy Shihan Jayaraja, a friend of the show. He's a Chicago Bulls fan, very loud about it. He said, Thibs has taken every one of his teams to their best record in 10 plus years, and then taken 2 of them, the Bulls and the Knicks, right, to their deepest playoff runs of the 21st century. There's way too much confidence that there are just good coaches waiting out there for you. There really aren't. That's a Chicago Bulls fan and very good sports writer, Shihan Jayaraja, saying this in a way that makes total sense. The Mike Malone firing in Denver was shocking, but you heard some things about locker room players. Thibodeau can be a hard ass. Thibodeau has a style that can be criticized in the modern NBA, but like, the dude creates winning teams in places consistently now where winning teams are clearly not a given. The other way I would look at this, going back to Shahan's tweet about there's just not good coaches out there waiting. I think this is an area, so I'm more experienced in talking about football, right? I think this is an area where football and basketball are very different. In football, the pool of coaches and potentially great coaches is really deep. I mean, in our context here in Central Texas, you've had elite Texas high school football coaches become really successful coordinators and even head coaches in the case of Texas Tech's Joey McGuire at the college level. So you can always look a level down in football and maybe bring people up, whether it's college, whether it's NFL. Because of the nature of a football staff and offensive and defensive coordinators, there are often several really qualified, sharp football guys just waiting for their shot to be a head coach who are qualified because of the way that they've led an offense or a defense for an NFL team already, for a college football team already. Because of the nature of basketball, smaller rosters, smaller coaching staffs, You don't have like an offensive and defensive coordinator for basketball, right? You have a head coach that implements the system and people that specialize maybe in certain things under him. You just don't have a large pool of potentially great head coaches just waiting to be discovered like you do in football. When Sean McVay was promoted to head coach, Chicago just hired Ben Johnson of Detroit. Like those guys could end up being outstanding head coaches. They were just waiting for their shot. That doesn't exist as much in basketball. You really often in basketball want to hire dudes that have proven they can win in basketball. And what I realized as I was thinking about this today is there's just not that many great NBA coaches. There's just not very many. And even the ones that have really, really poor seasons on their resume. So as I was thinking about it, and Zach, you can chime in here in a second, because I know you and Cam have talked about this on the Cam show recently. As I was thinking about it, how again, football is more my speed. I talk a lot of soccer. I wouldn't consider myself a basketball expert, but I did play basketball. I watch a lot of basketball. When I think about NBA coaches, I think there's a tier of its own with two men. I think Phil Jackson and Greg Popovich are in a tier of their own. Like in terms of historical NBA accomplished coaches, I think those two are the only two that I would say are, let's just use the word elite, because that's something most people understand. I would say Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, what they accomplished over a very long career, elite. Then I would say just below that tier of Popovich and Phil Jackson, who I think are in a league of their own, you have a few what I would just call great NBA coaches. And I'm going to use more modern guys as an example because that's the era I've watched. I would say Steve Kerr is a great NBA coach. He's proven that. I think he could end up in that Popovich-Jackson tier if he can win championships with another roster at some point, right? Rick Carlisle is probably in that great tier for me. I think Spoelstra is in that tier. I would argue Doc Rivers is in that tier. Joe Mazzulla probably approaching that tier. Great NBA coaches. And then there's a lot of good NBA coaches. Mike D'Antoni, the Van Gundys, Ty Lue. Like, I would say those are good NBA coaches, okay? And then there's a lot of NBA coaches who've not been good. They've just failed. Steve Nash might be my favorite basketball player to watch ever of all time. I'm obsessed with Steve Nash. Flamed out real quick as a head coach, right? Who was the other player that flamed out real quick? Derek Fisher. Two attempts at being a head coach. Flamed out real quick. Just because you're a really intelligent basketball player doesn't mean you're going to be a great NBA head coach. And here's what I notice about all of those tiers I just listed, whether it's Popovich and Jackson, or it's great coaches like Steve Kerr, or it's good coaches like Ty Lue. All of those coaches have really bad seasons on their resume. All of those coaches couldn't overcome roster issues. All of those coaches couldn't overcome injuries. All of those coaches couldn't always beat the best team across from them, right? They all lost to other generationally great players, great teams. So when it comes to Tom Thibodeau, where does he fall in that kind of layout I just said? I think Tom Thibodeau falls in that second category for me. I think he's a great NBA coach, proving it in Chicago, proving it in Minnesota, certainly proving it in the last 5 years in New York. And I just don't think the Knicks, I don't care who they hire, I don't think you replace that. I don't think you're upgrading, no matter who you get to New York. Dan Hurley, obviously the buzzy name out of college. We've seen plenty of great college coaches fail in the NBA. It happens at all levels. Just because you can coach well at one level doesn't mean you can coach the next level. I don't really know who else they're looking at. But I don't know how you elevate beyond what Tom Thibodeau just did with this roster. Zach Burke, you watch probably more NBA than I do. You and Cam have talked about NBA coaches and coaching tiers. How do you respond to any of that?
One, just because, and Cam would kill me if I didn't say this, Red Auerbach should probably be up there in that list of the very top one, with Jackson and Pop.
I'll accept that. I'll accept that.
There's a guy, because we talked about it recently, and it kind of lends to what you're talking about here, because I moved Pat Riley out of the top five as like a top five coach is what brought on this discussion between us. But there are definitely tiers. I don't know if I would put, for me personally, like Tom Thibodeau in that second tier. I think there's a third tier. I think that there's the greats like you talked about that are tier one. And then there's like really good coaches that that are like the Steve Kerr, like you talked about.
Yep.
That I throw in like a Donnie Nelson and like players like that.
Carlisle.
I would throw if he wins.
Well, if he wins, definitely
for sure. Maybe I'd say that he's in consideration.
Yeah. Okay.
Thibodeau to me is in that group right underneath that, but that's no disrespect to Thibodeau because there isn't a lot of coaches in these tiers,
right?
To begin with,
right?
Like that's the thing. Like Doc Rivers to me is kind of in that tier with Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah.
That's a guy who I know like a lot of people argue is probably one of the top 15 of all time. But let's not forget he's also the only coach in NBA history to blow not one, not two, but 3-1 playoff series leads too. So,
but that's my point though. But he's an NBA championship coach.
Exactly. So I think that Thibs has some of it too, though. Like that, the thing that gets me, and this is just me getting into the weeds here, and I know we'll keep it quick. Is I feel like Thibs is still kind of part of that older generation of coach in a way.
For sure.
And I do wonder how many players like connect with that nowadays. Like it seems like after a while, those coaches just kind of lose their effectiveness in the league. I don't think obviously Thibs isn't to that point, as we can see that he took the Knicks to, Eastern Conference Finals.
I think I would argue back to that because I hear what you're saying. I don't know how many current active NBA coaches could take that roster to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, and
maybe 3 or 4.
No, for sure. And I'm going to argue your point and say that everything that I've seen come out, like I had that thought, but it's like Jalen Brunson liked him. I mean, everybody in the clubhouse seems to like Thibs for the most part. I know that, Cat's been with him before. Like Cat knew what he was getting into. It's like, and I know that he had a little bit of problems with him in Minnesota, but it was one of those, like, he knew how to work around him. It's not like they, clashed all the time. I think it's more of the Knicks front office being like, oh, we should have, everybody expects a championship, so we're going to go out and try to find somebody else to bring him in. Here's the thing that's
not who you've been.
Exactly. That is the most overrated franchise in NBA history. And the sooner that they can recognize that and accept it and realize that getting to an Eastern Conference championship is something good that you can build on, and you should probably keep those pieces together, and the guy who brought you there, the quicker and easier it'll be for them to actually build and turn into something that they are not, but they think they are, and that's royalty in the NBA.
Well said, Zach. I agree with you.
Thank you.
Well said. Yeah, so we're on the same page here. Like Thibodeau, what he's done with this team over the last 5 seasons, I don't think another coach could replicate. Maybe a couple, right? Maybe a Kerr, maybe a Carlisle, but there's not many. So I don't know who you're going to get, but if I could make a quick prediction and then we'll take a break. Welcome back to first round exits and missing the playoffs. That's my prediction. I don't know how.
I'm 100% there.
I don't know how you get back to the Eastern Finals, especially if some of these other teams come back healthy. I don't know how you make an NBA Finals, unless it is like Dan Hurley and he ends up being just as good at the NBA level as he's been at the college level, which, again, that is so far from a guarantee. I'd give that like 10% odds, right? Like,
not everybody's Brad Stevens.
Right.
Yeah.
And Brad Stevens didn't win a championship.
Exactly. He had to be the GM before that happened.
Yeah. So all I have to say in summary, don't know what the Knicks are doing. And I think what this does too, though, as we have these conversations, all of it, Pat Riley, whatever, whoever we're talking about, it makes you really appreciate the NBA coaches who've won multiple championships, because most of them can't, and who've won multiple championships across multiple eras with different rosters. That's why, Phil Jackson's special. It's not just because he won with Michael Jordan. It's because then he did it with Kobe twice in different eras with different rosters. Popovich is special. He did it with different core groups, different stars, different eras, right? Like that is so rare. There aren't many guys like that. And you're not going to find him when you fire Tom Thibodeau. You're not going to find the next Greg Popovich if you're the New York Knicks. This is weird. So that's how I feel about that. In just a second, we'll take a break. I didn't do this at the top, so we'll thank our sponsors real quick. Extraco, Socorro Family Ford, Daniel Stark, Injury Attorneys. The difference is Stark. And Slovaceks. If you're driving through West Texas, don't go to Czech Stop. Go to Slovaceks. It's better. That's who we go see. Go tell Ray that Pete Sousa Show sent you. Again, Pete on vacation this week. We did a barbecue segment yesterday because I'm obsessed. So in the spirit of that, I did wear my Leroy and Lewis Cap today. That is one of the barbecue places in Austin that got a Michelin star last year. They were just ranked number 2 in the state by Texas Monthly's Top 50, which is the Bible for ranking barbecue restaurants. So shout out to Leroy and Lewis. If you like barbecue, go watch that segment from yesterday. I had a good time putting that together. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're talking NFL quarterbacks. This is the Pete Sousa Show.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at globalhealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. At Toussaint's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Toussaint's.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. BizChair.com. Your one-stop shop for premium commercial furniture that blends quality with affordability. From ergonomic office chairs to durable restaurant seating, we cater to diverse industries including corporate, medical, hospitality, and education. With over 20 years of experience, we offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at BizChair.com to transform your business. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Welcome to Kit Bag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kit Bag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kit Bag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kit Bag.
Zach Burke and I just spent the whole break talking about barbecue. You can't bring a barbecue in a room of Texas guys and not have a whole conversation about it. Again, I did a Texas barbecue field guide here on the show yesterday. We'd love for you to go check that out on YouTube. I gave you the Texas Monthly Top 50 list as well as 4 rules that I use when I'm in any place in Texas to determine which barbecue restaurant I'm going to use at. They're pretty foolproof. Go check that out. Good stuff, man. Zach, we need to go to Hellberg one of these days soon, you and I, and just grab a lunch. That's good stuff. Okay. I don't do this often because I recognize that in a seat like this, I'm supposed to have takes, and then I'm either right or wrong. And I'm more than most people, I hope, very open to being wrong often. Like, I don't think I know everything about the world of sports, but I say things because I believe they're true. And something happened a couple weeks ago on this show. I was guest hosting for Pete, and I want Pete to come argue with me about this, but he hasn't had a space to bring it up yet. We're going to bring this up at least a third time so Pete can get in on this. But 2 weeks ago, I was doing my Dallas Cowboy hater thing, and I am a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I've been off the Dak Prescott train for a very long time. And in the course of arguing why I'm no longer on the Dak Prescott train, I decided it would be productive to do my NFL quarterback tiers just to see where Dak Prescott would fall. And the basis of that, Zach, before you put up any of these, is I made the argument that Dak Prescott is Geno Smith. If you just look at the data and the numbers, they are the same quarterback. They are the same quarterback. And I would argue that Geno's actually been a little more productive with less than Dak over the past 3 years. They're the same guy. Dak is also more injury prone than Geno Smith, which isn't great if you need an NFL starting quarterback. So really quickly, I want to recap 2 weeks ago on a little more than 2 weeks ago on May 16th. These were my quarterback rankings on May 16th. I said tier 1 is quarterbacks who can win a Super Bowl with any roster. That may be a little boisterous when 3 of them have not yet won a Super Bowl, but I think that's just how I rank it. I think those 4 quarterbacks are clearly the class of the league, and I would actually think they could take just about any roster to a Super Bowl. Of course, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Then my tier 2, the way I defined it, was can win a Super Bowl with a good roster. You can see the 8 players there that I would say they can win a Super Bowl with a good roster. 2 of them have done it. The others, I think, are capable of doing it. And then my tier 3 there is they need a great roster to win a Super Bowl. That tier 3 for me means they are not going to be a factor. They are not going to be the factor. They are not going to elevate a roster to a Super Bowl, but if they have a great roster around them, they can win a Super Bowl. That's where I put Geno. That's where I put Dak. You can see Brock Purdy, I think, qualifies there. There's some others there. You can see who I put in that list. Now, that was May 16th that I put that tier list on this show. On May 20th, 4 days later, PFF put out their 2025 quarterback tiers. And again, I'm not just saying, oh, look at me, I was right, but also I was pretty excited about how similarly PFF views the NFL quarterbacks to me. Tier 1 is exactly the same. Different order, same 4 guys. PFF defines that tier as elite. The elite tier is tier 1. For PFF, tier 2 is, quote, high-end starters. Again, their tier 2 is 4 guys that are in my tier 2. Their tier 3A are solid starters who have flashed high-end play. I want you to note, Geno Smith is in that tier 3A for PFF. And then their tier 3B are also solid starters who need more help, which I would argue is pretty much the same as how I define tier 3. You need help to get to a Super Bowl, and it's mostly the same cats. So, quickly, let's put these lists up, Zach. Here are PFF's top 20 NFL quarterbacks going into 2025, next to humble old Scotty's top 20 quarterbacks going into 2025. As I revealed 4 days prior to PFF, they are almost the same list. I hate to brag, but for the couple of people who commented on my first quarterback tier video and said, this is crap, what are you talking about? I want you to note the top 7 are the same. Different order by 1. We disagree about Allen and Burrow. Other than that, the top 7 are the same. The top 10 are the same with one exception. They ranked Geno Smith higher than I did. I was getting crap for saying Geno is Dak. They rank him 5 spots higher than I did. And then the rest of the list is largely the same. The biggest difference is being I rated Bo Nix a lot higher than they did. Fair. You know, how much of his success last year was Sean Payton's offense? That's a good question to ask, right? But I rated Bo Nix a little higher. Other than that, these lists are crazy similar. And I will also note, despite me doing this project out of my Dak Prescott hatred, I ranked Dak Prescott 1 spot higher than PFF. So I'm not crazy. This is what it looks like. This is what it is. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, I'm tired of hearing Dak is clearly a top 10 quarterback. He's clearly not, at least according to me, someone who's watched almost every one of his games for the last several seasons, and at least according to PFF, who do this on a really analytical, stats-driven basis. You know, I again, not to brag, but I'm kind of bragging. I want Pete to engage with this when he gets back. My quarterback tiers, super similar to PFF's, which again came out 4 days later. Here it is one more time. If you just want to look at the faces. Again, 2 things where we're radically different. I have Bo Nix quite a bit higher than they do. And I did rank Drake May and Michael Penix in my tier 3. I am really high on both of those guys after what they showed last season. And again, for Penix in pretty limited minutes, obviously PFF needs to see more from both of those guys. I would never rank Bryce Young above those guys, and PFF did. But other than that, PFF and I kind of see these quarterbacks the same way. Zach Burke, bringing you back into this conversation because you watch a lot of football. Thoughts on NFL quarterbacks and how they fall for me or for PFF?
It seems that I'm not one to be much of a sports conspiracy theorist, but maybe PFF saw your video and
they watched the Pete Sousa show.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. No, I tend to agree with you there. And it's not like, for the longest, I always wondered how much of it might be just some Cowboys bias from being in the state and not necessarily being a fan and having to deal with Cowboys fans.
Right.
But I think that the more and more you watch, the more I just never felt like, let's call a spade in a way of, he was still a 4th round pick from Mississippi State. Like, I don't think going in that anybody ever thought that was going to be the franchise quarterback.
Listen, if we were ranking these quarterbacks based on actual career versus expectations when drafted,
for sure,
Dak is high.
Yeah,
Dak is high
for sure.
Especially next to a guy like Kyler Murray. But when we're just ranking how good they are as NFL starters right now, Dak is not high.
Yeah,
he's 16, or I think PFF had him 17. I think he was 16 on my list, 17 on PFF's. So that is literally the middle of the league.
Yeah, no, and I'm kind of in agreement with that part of it. I think that you were very gracious in, where you rank Geno Smith. So I'm kind of shocked that
they ranked him 5 spots higher.
Was he top 10? Hold on.
He was their number 10.
I'm going to pull.
He was my 15.
Let me see if I can do this real quick.
Yeah, pull it back up.
Where's there? Here we go. So, yeah, I can't get behind. I have no clue how Geno Smith is a top 10 quarterback to me. I'm not disrespecting Geno Smith at all, but top 10 seems kind of.
Well, he's clearly not top 10 for me either. Like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So I was shocked to find, like you, that Geno Smith, according to, and again, PFF, very data-driven, analytical. Like, if we're talking about a source that is attempting to be completely objective, most of us trust PFF to do that. And they've got him number 10.
Yeah, I'm looking at this before I add back so I can make sure, because I have something else that I want to get into too. Then they also really do not like CJ Stroud. And I say really, I mean, he's like,
that was the other biggest difference between them and I. Yeah, I have Stroud in the top 10 pretty solidly.
So, that, and I don't get where, like, I had a Tua and everything else. I'm trying to find my words as I'm sitting here to play.
Maybe what we need to do, we've done this with Hall of Fame stuff. Maybe we need to have you make your list and Pete make his list, and then we fight about it. The problem is now I've already put my list on the internet twice.
Yeah.
And PFF agrees with me.
My thing is I'm going to pull this up just so I can remind myself what it
Yeah.
was. Okay. So Brock Purdy, who has taken a 49ers team to, NFC championships and stuff.
To the Super Bowl.
Is not
to the Super Bowl.
You're right, to the Super Bowl. Is not as good as Geno Smith.
According to PFF.
According to PFF. I'm not tarnishing yours. Jordan Love, who looked a lot better this year than he has in previous seasons. This is all apparently Geno Smith is better than him according to PFF. Baker Mayfield. Okay. That's what it was. Okay. Now I can remember then what we were getting to because I wanted to talk to you about this.
Okay.
In your list too. Where did you have him? You have him in the where is he on your tier list?
Who?
Where are the golden locks of Trevor Lawrence?
He doesn't make my tier list.
Good. Okay. When do we, and I didn't mean to take this, but seeing him like 16th and
16th
seeing him not
PFF.
on your list at all.
Yep.
Are we done then on assuming that he's going to be like, because remember when the Jags drafted him, that was the last like surefire.
Listen,
he's there.
And I was on that train. I want to own that. Speaking of like being wrong about things, I wasn't on the Pete Sousa show all those years ago, but I was on the train of like Trevor Lawrence's Peyton Manning. Like I was on that boat as well. And he's clearly not that.
Yeah.
You hate injuries.
Oh,
but
sure,
he is not
sure.
yet.
He
has not yet put together a season where he's elevated that roster.
No.
No,
and some of it is not his fault. Some of it is the fact that he plays for an organization in Jacksonville. Like, I can tell.
But like Blake Bortles had more success as the Jaguars starting quarterback than Trevor Lawrence has.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Blake Bortles was the pride and joy of like UCLA. Like they don't make him like they make.
Yeah, let's
Blake
not talk
Bortles.
about the 2013 Fiesta.
I realized like that is honestly the game I thought about as soon as I started thinking about him at UCLA.
Dude, that 2013 Baylor team thought they should be in the national championship, and Blake Bortles made that Baylor defense
that was a rough
look like
game
a
to
high
watch.
school defense.
That was a rough.
It
game
was
to
so
watch.
bad.
I feel didn't his girlfriend get like Musburgered a little bit too there?
Dude, I don't know,
Anyway,
but would any of us be surprised?
That's not what we're talking about here. So like he hasn't had that success while being a sure. I'm gonna bring this back around in a way while being a surefire or what everybody thought was gonna be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody like Dak Prescott has from going from a 4th round pick from Mississippi State to having the success he has. But neither of them they're both in situations where they need help and they haven't been able to turn into what they're doing.
Correct.
It's crazy to me that PFF has Geno Smith ranked so high, but obviously they see what you see and what I see in Dak to where Dak has talent, but Dak isn't a top 15 quarterback.
No.
In the league.
No.
The Cowboys haven't had a top 15 quarterback, and I mean it's not that long. I was going to say since Tony Romo,
since the last starter,
since the last guy. But it's funny to me, and this is how fan bases work too. And this is maybe I'm not too into the forest too far to see the trees, and I can see this. Is that it felt like Cowboys fans when they had Tony Romo at the time were very anti Tony Romo, and they were very much we want the shiny new Dak Prescott toy.
Not this Cowboys fan.
I'm not putting on you. I'm just putting on others. This is just what it seemed like. And so when any success that he had, they were so on board.
Yeah.
And then when the success quit coming, they were like, no, well, we couldn't have been wrong. Like that couldn't have been a fluke. Like it's got to be that, Dak's good. It's just we don't have the wide receivers around him. We don't have the line around him. It's kind of like I get it. Like,
so funny.
Yeah, exactly. With Jerry this offseason, and I just say that because I know we cover a lot of Cowboys here, so I hear it a lot. Of like the draft when they asked him about the running game, the departures of like, the running backs that they have. And his thing has always been like, well, no, it's always on the offensive line. And I get that to a point. I get that to a point. You have to have a solid offensive line, but it does come down to the guy who's also running the ball. So you can have as many talented wide receivers as you want. Eventually it does come down to the guy throwing him the ball. And that's what you're seeing in Houston. You had CJ Stroud ranked a little bit higher, a lot higher, I think, than PFF did. And that's
I had him 8.
Yeah, and that's a team that I watch a lot. And I think that after his rookie year, absolutely I would have had him on there. But after this sophomore kind of slump of the season, where Bryce Young for sure I think outplayed him, it does make me curious to see year 3.
Totally.
Because I still think he is a top 10 quarterback, but how much of it is like the weapons he has and how much of it is him?
Right.
Because Diggs is now gone. Well, Diggs is getting into his own problems. But
you drafted both those cats out of Iowa State.
Yeah, exactly. You're trying to give them more targets. At some point in time, you can only give so many targets. And I think like that's kind of what the Cowboys have seen there with Dak. Like we can only do so much at some point in time. You have to call us, you have to call it what it is. Dak Prescott's a 15th quarterback in the league.
16th according to Scotty, 17th according to PFF.
I just want it to be in order.
That is what it is. It is what it is. Not to belabor the point too long. I was the crazy Cowboys fan, Zach, that Dak's rookie year when he won NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year, didn't he?
I believe so.
And he and Zeke were the 2 finalists. Both they were both rookies. But I was the crazy Cowboys fan. Tony Romo came back in the final game of the season to play in the second half. He threw a touchdown to Terrence Williams. It was really special for me. I cried. I literally cried because the writing was on the wall. He was going to retire, and that was his last action as a Cowboy. He did.
He was the NFL Offensive Rookie.
NFL, yeah. So I was the crazy Cowboys fan, Zach, that going into that postseason when Romo came back and played really well in relief the final week of the season, I was the guy saying he should start the playoff game. And everyone's like, you're crazy. He can't win playoff games. I'm like, okay, but it's Tony Romo, who I know knows how to get the ball to these weapons, knows how to run this offense, has been the best quarterback we've had in a very long time for a long time, or a rookie. And I want Romo. And Dak started, and Dak didn't play super poorly. The Cowboys did lose. But that's where I was at. I was never the move on from Tony Romo.
So that was it's funny you say that. So that was your major Applewhite moment. I don't know if I've told you this story, and we're going to have to go way back. Also, at that time, I remember the Texans wanted Tony Romo bad because they thought that he was the Cowboys were going to let him out of his deal, or they were going to release him because they had Dak there. And remember, Jerry ended up not doing it and like keeping, and Romo ended up retiring and going to work.
I don't remember that.
Okay. So, and I might be off on some of this, and it's going to lead me to another story, and I'll make it quick so we can get to break. But it was just that, yeah. So like Dak was the starter essentially. I think there was rumblings of they were either going to let Romo out of his deal, or like he had asked for a trade, a release, or they weren't going to re-sign him or pick up the team. It might have been like his contract was an option like that. And everything pointed to, from what I'd read, is like the Texans are just waiting for it to happen. Like they've already like met with them. Their goal is, because this was before CJ, this is before Deshaun.
Yeah, well before that. Yeah,
this is before Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
the drafting of that. And so like that's the plan, is we're gonna come in and swoop in and like pick up Tony. And
he would have gotten hurt third game with the Texans.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But with the Texans, you have to understand, like at that time, David Carr is still the best quarterback that they had.
Oh, don't do Matt Schaub like that,
dude. They ended up naming burgers after the amount of pick sixes around town that he threw that season. TJ Yates is the quarterback with the first playoff win in team history. TJ Yates. Anyway, long story short, they didn't end up releasing him, and they ended up like keeping him, and Tony ended up retiring instead and going and joined CBS. So,
man, I'm gonna say this, get my romanticism out of the way, and then we'll take a break so we can get to Indiana Pacers talk. But Tony Romo, it is rare. You're talking about him maybe going to the Texans and retiring. I said it is rare now you have a player spend their entire career with one franchise and retire. Legend might be too strong a word of Tony Romo, but retire as a great of your franchise history. Even Jason Witten went and spent a couple weird years in the wilderness with the Raiders before he retired as a Dallas Cowboy. So I'm really thankful he retired as a Cowboy. All that to say, put up that list one more time, Zach, before we take a break. Just bringing this topic back to remind you, Scotty put out his list 4 days before PFF. They look almost exactly the same. I'm pretty proud of that. We're going to get Pete's thought on that at some point when he gets back from vacation. We'll have to bring this conversation back because all of this is ultimately, here's the teaser, Cowboys fans, leading me to say, if Dak has a slow start to the season, I want Joe Milton. We'll make that argument for another day. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we've got the guys from the All Indiana Sports podcast to talk about the NBA Finals. Listen, the Thunder are plus 700 favorites to win these finals. Or is it minus 700? Did I say that wrong? I said that wrong. Minus 700. I'm still thinking about Tony Romo, my quarterback. That's my quarterback. The Thunder are minus 700 favorites to win the NBA Finals. Do the Pacers actually have a chance? We'll find out next. It's the Pete Sousa Show.
For 75 years, Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. No gimmicks, just durable, well-designed bottles built to last. Join us on our mission to amplify life, not complicate it. Because at Nalgene, what goes into our bottles matters as much as the adventures they fuel. Explore more at nalgene.com. That's NALGENE.com. Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Since 2003, we've been connecting buyers and sellers, providing access to sold-out events at prices lower than most secondary market options. Whether it's sports, theater, or concerts, our massive nationwide network ensures you get the tickets you want, guaranteed. For the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. That's TICKETLIQUIDATOR.com. Ticket Liquidator.
I'm Hunter, the founder of Hello Cake, and today we're digging into ED meds. The number one thing we hear is that guys are sick of waiting for ED meds to kick in. Traditional ED meds take about an hour to kick in as they have to go through your digestive system, where Hello Cake's ED medication dissolves under your tongue and works in about 15 minutes. That's about 3 times faster than traditional ED medication. Curious about ED meds? Go to hellocake.com.
InMotion is more than just a name. It's a legacy of innovation. From supplying electric vehicle parts like motors and inverters since the 1960s to creating cutting-edge electric scooters, hoverboards, and unicycles, InMotion is shaping the future of mobility. Whether you're looking for industrial power solutions or accessible personal transport, InMotion has you covered. Explore our products and experience the future of movement. Visit store.inmotionworld.com today.
Is your Mac running slow? Mac Booster 8 is your all-in-one solution to clean up 20 types of junk files, remove malware and viruses, and protect your device. It also optimizes your Mac's hard disk, fixes disk permission issues, and cleans memory, all to boost your Mac's performance to the max. Get your Mac running like new again with Mac Booster 8. Visit macboost.net today.
Finding a sleep sack that my baby likes has been a struggle. The sleep sack from Joy is a major upgrade.
It's all natural eucalyptus, which is breathable and hypoallergenic, which is really great for your baby's sensitive skin.
And it's Movie Climatech, which regulates your baby's temperature.
You can also get Joy's crib sheets, which are made of the same super soft material.
Joy gave my baby comfort
and gave me peace of mind.
At Mapiful, we believe in celebrating your journey, past, present, and future. Our unique personalized products are designed to boost your confidence, elevate creativity, and honor what matters most. From custom home decor to meaningful gifts, we help you cherish the memories that make you who you are. Visit mapiful.com and start celebrating your story today.
Maud Lily is your go-to for stylish and affordable fashion that fits your life. Whether you're looking for the perfect swimsuit for a beach day, a chic dress for a night out, or cozy tops for everyday wear, Maud Lily has it all. Their extensive collection of swimwear, including bikinis, tankinis, and one-pieces, always keeps you on trend, while their dresses and tops come in flattering styles for every occasion. Visit maudlily.com today.
Welcome back, Pete Sousa Show. Thanks for hanging out with us while Pete's on vacation. My name is Scotty Swingler. Zach Burke in the producer's chair, making sure we look good and sound good. We'll be back tomorrow for another full show, so don't go anywhere. Again, we were brought to you by Extraco Banks, Socorro Family Ford in West, Daniel Stark Injury Attorneys, and Slovaceks in West as well. Want to bring in my friends Kevin and Liam from the All Indiana Sports podcast. And guys, I have a very simple question. And I know you are both Indiana Pacers fans, but I want you to be analysts for just a second. What are the odds actually that the Pacers could win this series when Sports Illustrated says it's 88% chance Thunder?
Scotty, what were the chances that they had against the Cavs? Do you know those odds before the series?
I don't. Tell me.
All right. It was plus 360, and they're plus 500 against the Thunder. You got the best two teams record-wise since January. This is what the finals should be.
Yeah. Great point. They're both coming in hot for sure. What's up, Liam? Tell me the odds, man. How do the Pacers get this done?
I think that this matchup is a lot more even than people think. I think roster to roster, they kind of go blow for blow. They each have a scorer. They each have playmakers. So I realistically think that it's going to come down to coaching. I think that you have the younger coach with experience compared to you have the older coach in Carlisle who has a ring, who has made Mickey Mouse championship runs with the 2011 Mavs. So I think that it comes down to coaching, and whoever can coach the best is going to get it done.
Great point, Carlisle. I think definitely the more proven coach in this series without question. Guys, as people who cover Indiana Pacers and watch them all the time, tactically speaking or strategically speaking, we know this team is a running team. It's a ball movement team. It's a Tyrese Halliburton driven team. You've heard me go on a rant this week about how I just think it's the best story in sports right now, what he's been able to do over the last 14 months. But tactically speaking, man, the Thunder, I really thought Minnesota stood a chance, and I look like a fool. They just steamrolled Ant Edwards and the Timberwolves. In terms of strategy and that Rick Carlisle, what we trust is just brilliance up here. What are they going to try to do on the court to slow down the Thunder and win some of these games?
Well, you would think that you have to focus, just like they did against Jalen Brunson, on stopping SGA. Our preview just dropped, so after we're finished here, you can go to youtube.com/@allindianasports and check out the full preview. Liam had a good point, though, about how to stop the Thunder and SGA. Liam?
It's a little bit of a bold take, but I said don't worry too much about SGA. Worry about the role players, because I think like I said, the Pacers and Thunder are pretty evenly built. Their role players matter a lot. So I think if you're able to, if you can shut down the role players around Halliburton and Siakam, you can kind of shut down the Pacers in the same way you shut down Chet, you shut down Jalen Williams, Caruso, Hartstein, all those people. You shut down them, then that limits the Thunder to only SGA, and we're in a league where you can't just have one guy that scores that many points per game, so that's just not how basketball works. So if you limit them to only SGA, then I think you have a much better chance.
Hey, Zach, let's just go to that other layout so we can see everybody a little better. Guys, I wanted that previous layout so that do the side-by-side. Yeah. There we go. I wanted that other layout because I was going to make y'all big, but we're having trouble with StreamYard. So we'll do this, and then everybody gets even screen time. Okay, so your point, Liam, there was I don't think that was controversial at all. I think I've seen a lot of teams employ that tactic against other superstars, right? Your superstars are going to score. They're going to get theirs. SGA is a foul merchant. We know this. He's going to get to the free throw line. So if you try to stop him, you're probably just going to put him on the free throw line. Whereas if you can take away there he's got the whistle. This guy's prepared. Whereas if you take away some of those other pieces, I think Jalen Williams might be the X factor in the series, to be honest with you. I think that guy is a lot better than most people give him credit for. He's more than just a role player. I think he's another star on that team. So who are the guys Indiana's going to put, how is Indiana going to do that on the court? Who's going to guard SGA? Who's going to be responsible for some of those other pieces? How do you think they tactically go about making that game plan happen?
I think when you have two bigs like Chet, they're probably going to employ the same kind of tactic that the Knicks did, where they're going to have two bigs in there, whether they start them or whether they're going to do it. They're going to put Hartenstein and Chet in there at the same time. Chet is a much better matchup for Turner, and you might put Bryant in there because Bryant came up big at the end in Game 6 against the Knicks. In order to beat the Thunder, the Pacers have to do the same thing they've done to beat every other team, and that is run, 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 run. It may not be Game 1, it may not be Game 2, but over the course of a long series, that is how the Pacers are built to wear you down, both physically and mentally, because they're probably going to put a rotation of players on different players and try to get in their head, just like they did against Jalen Brunson and the Knicks.
Yeah, for sure. I think the real focus. A lot of people are like, okay, who's going to guard SGA because he's a taller guard, so you can't put someone like Nimhard on him who is dealt better with people who are foul merchants, or so then you have to go to Neesmith, who is more physical, but SGA doesn't like the physicalness, so he's going to get the fouls. So I think it's more of a big matchup in this because you have I've heard that Hartenstein and Chet are both going to start. So I've heard a lot of people are like, okay, well, who goes where? Because obviously you have Chet, who's really tall, compared to Siakam, who's not as tall. But defensively, you can't have Hartenstein guard Siakam. That's just not going to work because the way Siakam moves in the post. And the stuff that he can do on the outside. But then you have Turner, who last season against the Knicks was able to do so much against Hartenstein. So you have this kind of error in your lineup with Hartenstein because you have someone like Chet who's defensively capable to guard both of them, but he can't do both at once. So you have to have Hartenstein out there on one of them, and that's going to be the matchup to watch. I think that's who you attack defensively.
So as much as we want to say that these two teams are similar, they both are I would say team driven, deep benches, like lots of contributors, lots of guys who can score. The reality is, right, and I kind of teased it before the break, Vegas is making these odds really wild for a championship series, right? Minus 700 for the Thunder, as you already pointed out, plus 500 for the Pacers to win this series. What is that a reflection of? And I think the way I interpret that as someone who hasn't watched nearly as much Indiana Pacers basketball as you guys have is I wonder if there's just so much less margin for error if you're the Pacers. Like, you kind of need your best performances from almost all your guys every night, whereas the Thunder can have a few guys have an off night, and SGA still gets 40. And I think the other night in one of those games, SGA, Chet, and Jalen combined for like 95 points, just the three of them. Is that fair to say that maybe the Thunder are favorites because they don't have to play their best basketball every evening to win? Whereas, man, if you're a Pacers fan, you need Tyrese, you need Pascal Siakam, you need Miles Turner, you need all those cats playing at their best pretty constantly, or this could get ugly.
I think that I'm going to reference what Greeny said on Get Up whenever on Monday, when the focus was not that the Pacers won, but what happened to the Knicks. Come on, narrative problem.
I hate that. I'm with you. I hate that.
That even though these are two small market teams, they have the MVP, they have the scorer title leader. What the Pacers have, as Greeny talked about, if this same team was in Boston or Miami or in Dallas, they would be talked about differently. They would be talked about at all, where the Pacers are not. And so I'm going to make one giant plug for this entire series. And I'm going to ask you a question, Scotty. Do you like March Madness?
Yeah.
Why do you like March Madness?
Because anybody can beat anybody.
Anybody can beat anybody. Exactly. And these are the two best teams in the NBA. So to have one team disparagingly different in the odds is a crime. I think that if you love basketball this is the series that can bring you back to the NBA because you have a few stars, but you have good, deep team basketball that they both like to run, and you have the best offense versus the best defense and a young up-and-coming coach against a legend. This has everything that you want for actual real-life basketball, not LeBron, not any star.
Wait. You didn't have to disparage LeBron. You were making a great pitch until you just for no reason threw a mortar shell at LeBron. Get that out of here. Not while I'm hosting.
That's a style of basketball that I'm referring to. Star basketball versus team basketball, which we love in Indiana. And if you want to know what Indiana is about, go watch the 10-minute trophy presentation of the Eastern Conference Finals. You will see the MVP give it up to the deep bench guy who got benched and came up big in Game 6. You will see Rick Carlisle say that in 49 other states, it's called basketball, but this is Indiana, and it's something totally different.
Yeah. I completely agree with what you said there. I have one little thing to add. This is a lot closer than the odds make it, so it's a lot safer of a bet on Indiana than the Vegas odds. So it could be some easy money.
I'm gonna chime in there because as someone who, again, I've got no ties to either of these teams. I have no strong love or hatred for either of these teams. I did say earlier this week I'm rooting for the Pacers because I think the Tyrese Halliburton story, if he can go from most overrated to Finals MVP, would make for the best sports movie we've ever watched. So I'm on your team's train here, fellas. But I'm just going to tell you both, Vegas is the most objective source we have, and outside of it's more objective than sports media. It's more objective than fans. Like when they make odds because they're making money, and it's so important for them to make their money. So as much as this outsider, this third party right here, wants to believe you and say, yeah, man, Vegas is just wrong. These teams are the same. It's really hard for me and maybe some others watching who haven't watched both these teams a lot to take that into consideration at face value, because we know why Vegas is saying what they're saying. It's because they're going to make money on this, right? So we'll have to see how it goes. It's fascinating, though. It's absolutely fascinating. Kevin, everything you said about this series is why I said Monday, this series is going to reveal a lot about the state of basketball and the state of the NBA in pop culture. Because as much as you might want to disparage star-driven play, and I understand why you would say that and why we like team-driven play and these teams that run. And LeBron versus Steph gave us some drama for 5 years that people turned on the TV for. Like people wanted to watch those series because we do love our stars. We do love. Now, I will argue that we have stars in this series. I think Tyrese Halliburton is radically underrated. I think Pascal Siakam's underrated. I think Jalen Williams is underrated. SGA just won the MVP. So, we have stars in this series, but I think it will be so interesting to see small markets, team-driven ball. How do the ratings go across the country? I'm really, really fascinated to see, and I'm with you. I would pitch to America if you are bitter about the state of the NBA or star-driven stuff. This is the series for you. Guys, final question, and then we got to get out of here because it's 11 o'clock. Prediction. I know you're both Indiana fans. I know you're probably both going to pick Indiana. Give me how this series goes and your prediction for how it finishes.
All right, you're gonna have to watch the episode for the full prediction.
Fair enough.
We'll give you the number of games. I have it going all 7 games.
I have it going 6.
Okay. There's your tease. Everybody needs to check out the All Indiana Sports Podcast on the Rogue Sports Network. I'm gonna tell you, I'm taking. I haven't actually done this yet, Zach Burke. My head says Thunder. My heart says Pacers. I'm going to save that for tomorrow, actually. I don't have to give my pick today. Series starts tomorrow night. I'll give my picks tomorrow. Thanks so much, Kevin and Liam. Everybody, make sure you check out the All Indiana Sports Podcast for their full breakdown and preview, especially if you want to go root for the Pacers like I'm going to be in this series. Guys, thanks so much.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
See you guys later.
See ya.
That's going to do it for us here in Waco in the Alico building for the Pete Sousa Show. Once again, thanks to Slovachex and all our sponsors for their support. Thanks to Pete for letting me sit in this chair while he's out. He'll be back next week. Super thankful. Hope he's having a great vacation. Thanks to you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying any of the conversations. We have absolutely blown up in subscriptions over the past month and a half. We want to keep that train rolling. It really does help us keep this show going and make it excellent if you'll subscribe. Thanks to Zach Burke for sitting in the chair, making us look good and sound good. My name's been Scotty Swingler. This is the Pete Sousa Show. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.